Lloyd says that the blueprint of the truth jewel Aotearoa needs a core materia named Toranga to be built. The screen showed Lloyd the history of Toranga. The scene shifts to the past at the time of the Great War that happened during mythical ages between different races. The war was fought to decide who would possess the truth jewel. During the war, a mermaid asked the truth jewel on how to win the war, but giants who were as big as trees destroyed the truth jewel. As it broke, all the races began to carry the debris of the truth jewel as their reward. A certain giant took the Toranga onto his land. Giant built his kingdom and ruled over humans, but later a rebellion began by humans that drove the giant off. Later the humans built their own castle and they put the Toranga, which the giant held, as the foundation of their castle. So our hero would need to dig the castle to get Toranga. Scene shifts to a banquet arranged by Queen Magentano. It is probably to restore her lost dignity that she lost because of Bone Dragon. A guest began to say he has no idea why the queen has arranged this banquet. Then he says last time she tried to scare them in last banquet but she got humiliated after the mess that Bone Dragon made. The guests comments on the confident face of Magentano, and says that she wouldn't be able to fool them with that confident face. The story that Magentano defeated Bone Dragon is truly ridiculous to them. Lloyd is listening to all this and then he gives a smirk for what is about to happen. Magentano shouts Yong Yong, come here. And something begins to come flying from the sky. Everyone in utter shock begins to look towards the sky. They see the massive Bone Dragon flying towards them. All the guests began to run for their lives, but Lloyd says, look, the Bone Dragon seems a little strange. Everyone looks back and are surprised to see that the Bone Dragon is standing right in front of our queen like her little pet. She then pets the Bone Dragon like it's her puppy. The guests tell everyone to go back to their country and tell them to obey every request the Magentano kingdom has made. Tell them that she possesses the power to completely destroy the world if she wants to. Everyone bows down to Queen Magentano while our hero is giving a smirky smile, as he is the one who made this all possible. But suddenly Magentano declares that the most meritorious subject will be bestowed upon Lloyd. She then says Lloyd is the one who has made the Bone Dragon swear its loyalty to Magentano. Everyone begins to discuss this, as Lloyd has obtained a title equivalent to being loyalty. Lloyd thinks that the queen has already gave her power to tear apart the castle and she didn't has to go this far. Queen looks at Lloyd and gives a smirk. Javier makes a face like WTH. The night falls and we see Javier tell Lloyd that he is summoned by the queen. Javier says that is good because he also has something to ask her. Lloyd asks Javier what does he has to ask the queen. Javier says, don't you feel something from the queen? Lloyd jokingly says, yes, something like wow, she is the queen. He then asks Javier to check on the left arm of the queen and see if everything is alright. Javier says that he will, and asks our protagonist, whether he was going somewhere. Lloyd tells him, since he has come this far, he is going to meet his younger brother. Scene abruptly shifts to another part of the city where we see Lloyd's younger bro and his wife Sergeant practicing sword fighting. Sergeant tells Julian to straighten his back more so that, in case an ambush happens he can react to the ambush quickly. Now we see Sergeant is about to strike Julian with her sword with full force, making Julian frightened. But she stops and gives him a kiss instead. She tells Julian that he lost again, and Julian replies, she's so mean, but immediately kisses her hand instead and calls it an ambush. Sergeant says she is tired now and incapable of further combat. But in the next scene, we see our protagonist watching all this making an ugly ah face. Lloyd thinks Julian is sure living a great life in a world Lloyd couldn't experience. Lloyd further thinks that since he is a ugly, filthy and lonely brother, he will scarce himself, so he don't get in the way of Julian. In the next scene, Julian and Sergeant are doing all lovey-dovey talk and our protagonist looks at all this and decides to leave. Lloyd is on his way back, but we see a man mumbling to himself. He is clearly in bad state and is cursing someone for his state, he says, because of that bastard in academy, this all had happened. He takes a sword and starts to run towards Lloyd angrily.